When we look at the world today, we see an interesting picture. Almost every country is in debt. The United States owes over $38 trillion, the European Union owes $14 trillion, and Japan owes nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich countries are in debt too. And naturally, everyone asks the same question. If everyone is in debt, then who is the creditor? The answer is actually simple and a bit surprising. The world doesn't owe money to anyone else. It owes it to itself. But of course, this situation doesn't affect everyone equally. Today's global debt system actually dates back centuries. Back then, the idea of debt emerged directly from war. In 1694, while England was at war with France, its gold reserves were nearly depleted. The king asked merchants for help. The merchants agreed to support the state in exchange for future tax revenues. To manage this agreement, the Bank of England was established, laying the foundation of today's sovereign debt system. From that day on, debt stopped being a sign of weakness and became a tool of power. Whoever could borrow had the advantage. Today, debt has become the common language of the world. Half of America's debt is held by American investors and institutions. A third of the remaining half belongs to foreigners. For example, China and Japan hold some of the U.S. debt, but their share isn't as large as many people think. If we look at the big picture, we see that countries are essentially holding each other's debt. Japan buys U.S. Treasury bonds. The U.S. lends money to Europe through the IMF. The European Union lends money to developing countries. And those countries put their reserves back into assets from developed nations. It's a giant loop where everyone owes everyone. The referee of this loop is the market. Markets decide which country can borrow easily and which must pay high interest. If confidence collapses, currencies fall, and governments can even topple. Central banks are also part of this system. When they buy government bonds, they create money from scratch. This means that the money circulating today is essentially someone else's debt. There is no such thing as debt-free money. Governments don't borrow to pay off their debt. They borrow to constantly roll it over. Just like renewing a subscription, interest payments are like the oil of the machine. If they stop, the engine stalls. Neither the US nor Japan ever plans to completely repay its debt, because if they did, the system would collapse. But there is a problem with this structure. Interest payments flow from the bottom to the top. Workers and taxpayers pay, while big funds and investors profit. That's why as debt grows, inequality grows as well. In short, the modern financial world has turned debt into money itself. Everyone is both a debtor and a creditor. The whole system runs on trust. And if that trust ever breaks, the entire loop may collapse. Debt at its core is simple. It's a promise that cannot be hidden forever.